We've got 10 digital ladies tonight in startups, and I've got Hannah Blake with us, who works with BBC Labs, who are a specialist arm of the BBC who work with startups. So Hannah, can you tell us a little bit more about BBC Labs and what you do, what your aims are?
Sure, so we're part of BBC Worldwide, and what we do, well, we set it up at the end of 2012 with this idea that, you know, there's so many business models out there now being disrupted. We're not traditionally a technology company, and so we need to be looking outside our four walls to kind of recognise new trends and to test new technologies. Obviously BBC Worldwide is quite a slow-moving organisation, and to work with startups is proving really tough.
Yeah.
So we decided, right, we'll get some startups, we'll bring them into the BBC, we'll make them part of the ecosystem and try to partner them with the BBC.
Yeah.
So there's lots of accelerators out there, startup accelerators. We were the first one kind of attached to a brand. Most invest, but we don't invest. What we say is we're actually just going to forge commercial partnerships. So it's an exchange of services. And we provide the startup with free office space, which is great for an early stage company when they're just starting out. You know, it's expensive to have office space in London.
Yeah,
so that
absolutely. Yeah.
And then we give them mentoring advice from internal and external experts. And then my job is to just crack the whip at the BBC and get people to test and
to
trial.
support and kind of work with them. Really.
Yeah. And it's as much as, you know, obviously for a startup to be able to say BBC Worldwide's our client, that's huge. That can really pivot, you know, catapult them to the next level. But there's more of an internal piece as well. It's about getting the staff to think differently and to take a bit more risk.
Well, it's great. You know, I've worked for legacy businesses like The Guardian and News UK, and I think, you know, these big organisations, it can be a real struggle for them to think like a startup, to be agile, and you know, this is why often they are so challenged when new startups come along and not quite eat their lunch, but you know. But can you tell me a little bit more about how you choose the startups you work for, and are they all, I mean, I'm assuming they're kind of publishing media related?
Yeah, so we say they have to be digital media startups at the point of commercialisation, which is very broad, but we say that, you know, you have to have a product that's in the market that's ready to go. When we first started, we picked companies that we thought were, you know, kind of related to BBC Worldwide and the activities we were doing, threw them in and tried to partner them with you know, all the various business units, and we were quite successful. But as the programme has developed, we found more BBC staff were coming to us now and saying, this is what's happening, this is our challenge that we foresee over the next year, this is our pipeline. So we're able to now reactively match, you know, and find startups that we know we're plugging into a business problem, which just makes the opportunity of a partnership much greater. We can, you know, we never guarantee that we're going to be able to get the start of the deal, but I want to make sure that when the new cohort come in, I'm as certain as I possibly can be that at least the people who will be exploring that deal are enthusiastic, eager, and willing to work with them. So that's kind of how it works.
That's fantastic. And I mean, if you had one tip for startups, or anything that you've particularly learned about working with startups, what would that be as a little takeaway to everyone?
I think, you know, technology obviously is super important, and that's the thing that's going to make us you know, really is it is what a startup is all about, and what makes something different. But at the end of the day, it does come down to people, and I've dealt with a lot of companies that might have the most incredible tech ever, and if they can't hold a conversation, if they can't come across well in front of people,
if they can't sell it,
if they can't just make relationships with people, then you're never going to get that tech into play, into the market. And so I think that's kind of what I've learned, is that this business is all about people at the end of the day still, and that's kind of the most important thing. And I suppose something else I've learned, and I would just, you know, I think for companies, timing is a massive issue. You know, I look at how a long period of time can really upset a company. So, for example, if they're working with a big organisation, sort of 60-day payment terms is too long. When they're raising money, it takes a long time to work with investors, and that's precious time where they should be selling or building their product, and they have to take all this time out to find money. And so this recurring problem is coming up with the companies I work with, where, you know, people are just taking too long, and that can mean the difference between a company surviving or just melting into the background. So I suppose my advice to bigger organisations that want to partner and work with startups is to just pay a bit quicker,
Pay
speed
them.
things up.
Yeah, this
Pay
is a
them
story
quicker.
I've heard from quite a few. But,
Yeah.
but thank you very much, Hannah.
No
That was
worries.
Hannah from BBC Labs.
Thanks.